Welcome back. If you joined us for part one, I'm so glad you're here for part two. And if you're just jumping in, you may want to go back and start there. Either way, let's dive in.
Yeah.
And I think it's oftentimes it's so common for women, again, going
Mm-hmm.
back to having incredible experience and having, very storied careers, and yet feeling insecure or not feeling confident. And it's like, no, like the reminder of like, no, you are a badass, and this is, you got here on your own accord. And this is, you need to remember that when you're walking into the room, because that will, it's just like an interview, it's going, when you present yourself in a confident way, then what you're saying and what you're contributing to the conversation is listened to, and it is influential, and it does make a difference. Well, you've
Mm-hmm.
both worked with leaders across industries. So I guess this question is for both of you, but well, a couple of them. What's one leadership lesson that you've learned that you wish every woman knew 10 years earlier? And why is it important that women aren't just sitting at the table, but that they're helping? We kind of covered this earlier, but that they're helping make the decisions that are
Yeah.
being made at that table.
Yeah. Well, there are so many lessons I would teach my younger self, both in a professional setting and in my personal life. But if I had to lean into one thing, it's not necessarily only for the highest level leader, but for all professionals who are growing and want their impact to be greater. I'd say that instead of spending your time and energy really forcing yourself to struggle to master something that comes really in a hard way for you or is difficult, it would be to lean into what you already do well. So if your strengths revolve around research and data analytics, you don't need to focus on sales or networking necessarily. It's great to get more comfortable connecting with people and communicating and feeling like you can walk into a room and not have a mental breakdown. But if it's going to drain you and take away from what you do best, just focus on some close relationships that feel good to you and lean on those people to do the sales or build the business development queue while you create the foundation of how a product is built or how a solution functions. And the opposite is true as well. If you're not a scientific, data driven person, or you don't like doing finance or research puts you to sleep, do the networking, build community, be the person who drives those relationships and those partnerships, and let yourself do what feels good instead of draining yourself with the things that other people do really well. And allow yourself to have smart
Yeah.
people surround you and build up a community great of a great team.
What about you, Samantha? Anything you would tell people to hope that they would learn 10 years earlier or more?
I wish that people understood that there's more than one path to creating impact. And so it's really interesting because I think there are a lot of people who, and we need this in the nonprofit world especially, right, who will volunteer their time to a cause or will donate money or donate in kind donations or things of that nature. And there's also so many other ways to create impact. One is by joining a board, right? Helping them make those decisions, especially when you've got the expertise to back up your contribution in those kinds of conversations. And so I think that when it comes to thinking about our role in shaping some of the hardest challenges out there, things around women's health or climate change or whatever issue speaks to you, it would be great if we asked tons of questions so that we could get better clarity and a better idea of, is it money? Is it time? Is it my experience? Is it, on the investment side, is it a PE or a VC backed board? Is it, a nonprofit board? So I think just younger self, and I say it to my girls all the time, ask questions. Raise your hand and ask the question. Get clarity on it, because the worst thing I think is to not ask the question,
Hmm.
right? And just to be left without those answers. And especially when those answers can have exponential impact not only on yourself but on others.
Yeah. Well, and just back to the other question, one other part of that question, um, why is it important that women are on board seats? I mean, obviously, we know the idea of having the um, i- impact of having a woman there as far as just having a different
Mm-hmm.
perspective. But
Mm-hmm.
what else, what other than the different perspective, are there other reasons why it's important for women to be on board seats?
I'll jump in just quickly with the thought that, as we said before, representation matters, and it's not just because we're looking for diverse conversations, which we are and which we need, but it's because those perspectives are shaping the decisions that a business is making on behalf of shareholders or stakeholders who, P.S., are mixed gender typically, right? So, you know, having the perspective, having the relationships, having the networks that are being brought in, the lived experience of different genders, it all makes for, enriched conversation, but it also drives value, as we've said. Um, there's data that says when women are part of this conversation, there's greater profitability, there's improved ESG outcomes, they collaborate better. So that means if they're collaborating better, they're communicating better with each other, they're making critical decisions on behalf of others. So it's there are a lot of reasons why it's so important. And it looked like Annette was jumping the gun, wanting to get into this
No,
conversation.
no, you've mentioned so many things, but the things that companies spend the most money on are R&D, so trying to create a product that actually serves its target customer, and then keeping employees, because when you have to replace an employee, it's so incredibly expensive to find them, to train them, to onboard them. So when you have a woman who represents over half the population of the world, you are getting so much insight into how R&D should be driven. What kind of answers are you looking for? Sometimes a board member who does not have the lived experience of the population that you're trying to target doesn't even know what questions to ask. So bringing those people in, and not just women, we want diversity of all sorts, but of course our focus and our business has been around bringing more women to the table. We also believe that bringing women in increases diversity of all types in the boardroom. And the fact that women are able to increase collaboration, create better relationships in the boardroom and with the executive team of the company means burnout is not as high. Retention is much better. The company is a more resilient place, and they're not spending money replacing employees. They're actually spending money to make money and not just survive. So
Mm.
I think there's nothing better than having women in the boardroom.
Yeah. Well, now for the women that are listening today, I'm sure there's some of them that they either want to get a board seat right now, or they think someday they might want to go down that road, and they have absolutely nowhere to start, no idea where to start. So, what's the first step that you would tell someone to take this week if they wanted a board seat now, or if they wanted to maybe someday, if they're thinking about someday maybe getting a board seat? Are there pieces of advice that you can tell them, of pieces of action that they can take right now to direct them that way?
Well, so many. And there are some that are very simple. I mean, the first thing for anyone who's listening to this, whether you're a woman or a man, or you identify in another way, is to tell yourself, I belong in that room. I
Mm,
add value. And if I want to go into the boardroom, I can and I should. And we are a community, we are built on a foundation of community. So we connect with others, we ask questions, we get support, we give support. So the first thing that everyone listening should do is actually register for our upcoming networking event. It's not necessarily only for board ready folks. This is for anyone who wants to grow in their career, build community, meet new people. And it's always free, it's virtual, and we meet the second Tuesday of every month. So we will put the link in the show notes via Carrie, and we hope that everyone will join us at our Connectors um, networking session, which will be the second Tuesday of the month. And let me pass it on to Samantha for a couple more ideas.
Sure. Yeah, we built our organization, as Annette said, on this foundation of community, in large part because we weren't really seeing out there what we wanted to be part of, so we decided to create it. And I think that in terms of thinking about the path to board service, it's really not only about where do I apply or what should I apply for? But it's really also about what else is going on in your life, right? I mean, how do you fit this in a meaningful way so that you're not just saying yes to the first thing that comes along and then risking misalignment, whether it's your priorities in life. Do you have a life partner, spouse? Do you have kids? Are you wanting to travel? Where are you in your life and what kind of board is going to match up? And so the value of community in that regard is having these conversations and identifying how others have done it. What does it really mean to be part of a public board? We've had, one of our faculty advisors who had a conversation with us over a year ago now, and I remember her saying that she had 2 days to read through like a 900 page packet or something. And that was really surprising to her. And does that happen on every public board? No, every company, is likely different, but knowing the expectations is really important to make sure that you are identifying something that's going to, resonate with you and be a sustained outcome, enable a sustained outcome. So for anyone who's really actively wanting to uncover this, our program Board of Advisors has cohorts happening different places around the year. And an easy thing is just to follow our page on LinkedIn or go to the website and just start learning, start educating yourself. Is this the right program? Is another the right program? Where can I find people that are going to support my path and the roadmap that I want to create? So, so in addition to connectors, we also do a fireside chat series, which would be another great idea. Most of the women we've interviewed are sitting board members, and we dive into a range of different topics. So just starting to learn by listening to some of those conversations and hearing things that are coming up is another great way. And that's on YouTube, and we can give you the link in the show notes or whatever.
Well, and you're leading us right into the next section where I really want you guys to tell us all about what you're building, because you're really building some cool stuff through Light the Way and through Board of Advisors. And I just want to know, and for anybody listening, as both Annette and Samantha mentioned, we will have all of this information in the show notes. So if you're on a walk or if you're in the car, you don't have to pull over and write all of this down. It will be in the show notes, so you can find it again. And we will link to their site through INTS too. So you can always go to the It's Not That Serious website and find it there too. But I want to hear all about what you're doing. Again, you guys have already kind of set us up to get there, but what's your website? How do people get there? How can they get involved immediately, regardless of whether they want to get in on a board seat today or tomorrow or 5 years from now?
We're so happy to share that. So we have a website at www.lightthewayleadership.com. And on the website, you can find links to everything that we've spoken about. So the connectors networking, our fireside chat series, which is called Illuminate Hers, as well as our leadership and practice conversation, which brings leaders of more corporate organizations together to talk about challenges, best practices, and bringing development to leaders within organizations. And we've been so grateful that you've been at those conversations, Carrie. So we hope that other people from the community join as well. We also are planning a couple webinars and workshops that will be posted to our website with other members of the women's entrepreneurship community. And we, excuse me, as Samantha mentioned, we'll be kicking off another Board of Advisors cohort in the fall. So if you're listening to this and you're ready to start exploring board opportunities, whether in the near future or you want to build out your longer term roadmap, we would love to have a conversation with you about whether or not Board of Advisors is right for you. So you can also find a link to set up a chat directly with the two of us, and we would be happy to speak one-on-one about what support you are looking for and how we can offer it and help more amazing leaders, especially women leaders, get to the place where they feel that they have impact, they're fulfilled, and they're building success in whatever feels good to them.
I love that. And I will say I have participated in some of the work that you guys have done, and I have been so impressed by what you have been building and what you are building and what you've already built. And so I would encourage any listener that just has a curiosity even to get involved, go to the website, look at what they're doing, sign up for one of those chats, sign up for one of the events. It might be life-changing to you if that's the direction that you're wanting to go. And I think it can't hurt, because there's always going to be some nugget of advice or some nugget of knowledge that is shared that is going to help you elevate what you're doing in your career. So kudos to you guys for building something so awesome. I think it's so relevant, and we do need more women on boards. I mean, the not only to even out the numbers of women and men, so we are getting real insight into what's actually needed for businesses, but just even to kind of expand the way we're looking at things. I think sometimes we get so locked into particular ways of looking at things, and one way we can broaden our view is by adding women to that mix. So I love what you guys are doing. We're getting close to the end, so I want to have I have a little I have a little fun question for both of you. So if each of you could choose 3 women, living or dead, or slash, I say living or dead slash historical, so it could be a historical figure or not, to sit on your dream advisory board, who would they be and why? Let's start with you, Samantha. Who would be your 3 women on your dream advisory board?
It's such a fun question.
It is fun. I'm excited to hear your answers.
I feel like that one that I'm going to say is sort of obvious, but it is so aligned with what I care about, my priorities and values in so many different ways that I have to invite Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Number one.
Good one.
She is sort of, to me, the epitome of what it means to be a curious human. She's constantly seeking understanding. She's developing herself alongside others that she's walking through life with. She is someone who has been a constant connector and values connection in, again, so many different ways. And on top of that, has been just a fierce entrepreneur, brand builder, just an icon in so many ways. So Oprah for sure. I would say my cousin Jillian, who has been also an entrepreneur for decades, and has such a unique kind of energy and optimism and joy for what she's creating that she sort of carries everybody else, along with her because you just want to like hop in the boat with her. So that's another one. And then I would say my eldest daughter, who is 17 and embarking on a college journey, because I always find such incredible insight in having the multi-generational conversation and what is happening at a different level, what is important or not important, and also having that mirror that reflects back on myself of things I didn't even consider or think about. I mean, honestly, I get teased a lot. Mommy, what are you saying? How are you saying that? You don't say it that way. You say it this way, different
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But yeah, just having a variety of perspectives would fill
I
my
love it.
board.
I love the Oprah, your daughter, and your cousin. Shout out to the cousin.
Thank you.
I feel like they'll both be honored to be in such high company. What about you, Annette? Who are your three dream women for your dream board?
Well, I came up with three, and I realized as I was sitting here that it kind of goes without saying that in addition to those three, Samantha would have to be there because I turn to her so regularly, and she has helped me in so many ways in the years that we've been working together. But the people that I chose kind of off the top of my head were first my sister. She's so amazing at what she does. She's younger than I am, but I feel that she has been an inspiration. She's incredibly thoughtful, she's generous, and she's the most fun. And she's also honest. So she will never waste time
Key.
telling me what
Mm-hmm.
she thinks I want to hear, but she'll dig in and push me to be the best version of myself. The second person is this woman that I know in the Bay Area. Her name is Amy Bond. And I met her through a digital detox adult summer camp, which is kind of an interesting place, a very Bay Area place to meet someone. But she does literally all the things. She runs pole dancing studios. She does pro bono legal work for immigrants. She travels to Europe for writing seminars. I mean, whatever I want to try, I always think, would Amy do this? The answer is always yes. It always makes me feel more adventurous, and she's just an amazing businesswoman too. So I just feel like she has to be there. And
What would Amy do? What would Amy do?
what would it, I mean, I feel like if I ever got a tattoo, it would probably, what would WWAD, because my sister's name also starts with A. So the A is great. And then I chose Michelle Obama as the last advisor on my board. She's just so strong. She's calm under pressure. She's brilliant. I mean, the career that she's had before ever, coming into a role as the first lady, she has done so much in her community and in the field of law. And she also brings a big imagination and big dreams to a foundation built based on facts. So she's building something real, but with huge impact. And she goes above and beyond whatever people expect or think is possible. And I want that kind of growth mindset on my personal board.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite questions. I need to be asking this to every woman I talk to. It's just so interesting to hear the people that everybody picks, and I love it. I'm gonna have to ask that one again, but this is where we come to an end, and I really appreciate you guys being on here. But as you know, at the at the at our website, at the crux of it's not that serious. We have a monthly series called our WIP series, which stands for our Women in Power series. And we highlight different amazing women every month and every week on this podcast. Obviously, you two are perfect examples. But in our Women in Power series, we're highlighting different amazing women going through different things, but power can mean so many things. When you hear that phrase whip or woman in power, what does that actually mean to both of you? And Samantha, we'll start with you.
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I think that the definition of that has probably changed throughout my life. I think in this season of life, it's really having the agency to build a life that is aligned with my priorities, being able to move through life with resilience, and then carrying other people along the way. I think that's a true differentiator for me, for a woman in power, is how are you using that power and how are you affecting change along the way.
Annette, how about you? What's women in power? What is whip? What does a woman in power mean to you?
Yeah. Similarly to what Samantha said, I think a woman in power is a woman who has control over the way she spends her time, the way she spends her energy, who is able to bring the absolute best version of herself to the things she cares most about, whether it's professional, and that could be in a huge company or in a startup or in your own entrepreneurial journey. It could also just be like how you approach having adventure or taking care of your own health or connecting with others, and not just connecting with them, but empowering them, enabling them, and supporting them. And so for me, the ultimate power is contributing to my family and to their well being, having time for myself to be with people that I truly love and care about, the people who make me laugh or push me to try new things, and being able to have that resilience when the road is bumpy, to take on hard things and know that I won't give up, that I have the internal and the external resources to pursue whatever I am trying to achieve. That's
I will, that just made me think. I remember one of the biggest lessons I got from my business school years was that you don't always have to have the answer, but you do know how to need to have to figure it out, right? Like, who are you going to for the answer? How are you building your toolkit so that you can have an informed decision? And I think for me, that's really powerful because we're not going to know all the answers, especially right now where there is so much disruption in so many ways and a lot of uncertainty that people are grappling with. That being able to understand how to get the resources and knowledge or connection or sort of build up all of those bricks so that you're creating a strong foundation, that to me is really powerful, being able to build that for yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I am so happy to have had both of you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for their work you're doing to lift women, to guide them into, board positions and beyond. And I just think it's so important. Obviously, I care a lot about it, right, in the work that I'm doing, but just seeing other women in action, lifting other women, and celebrating other women, guiding other women into their best selves is really like that's the creme de la creme. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a light for so many women and so many people in general, but specifically on this show for so many women. And if you're listening, remember you can connect to the Light Her Way, and you can connect to Annette and Samantha through the website, It's Not That Serious, but also through their own website, which again will be in the show notes. And go to the website, get a shirt, get a mug, but support each other, lift each other up, celebrate each other. And please come back and listen to the next version of It's Not That Serious and who we bring on next. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for being here. Have a
Thank you
great
so
day.
much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Have a great day.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Carrie, It's Not That Serious. If this conversation resonated, subscribe and share it with a woman in power in your life. You can find more conversations, more community, and all the fun INTS merch you love at itsnotthatserious.com. We're building something meaningful here, and I'm so glad you're a part of it. Until next time, remember, it's not that serious.